Greetings everyone, and here is Lodrik again. I'm still waiting that Dojo will post his next battle turn online, because I agreed that I wait for him that he first publish his battle turn, so to honor his position as the lead guy in this match. And after he published his battle turn, I can publish my own battle turn and explanation how I see the battle and following up my setup situation, what happened on the map and what are the next steps. So, but because we still waiting, because Dojo is a busy, important guy, a lead member of his community and all of the stuff, we can only talk about some special stuff for the Japanese, some special rules, and maybe compare some more airplanes so that I can maybe tell you why I choose again this type of airplanes or why I don't choose others. So first, something for the game, some special stuff. Some stuff is very, very special. So the Japanese, they have some scout cruisers. I don't know if the Americans have this. I've never played the Allies because I'm a German guy, and of course it's for me forbidden to play the Allies. So I can go for active ships, and then you can deactivate, and then you can activate the cruisers. And then you see all the cruisers, and here are 3 scout cruisers. They call them cruiser aircraft, but normally they are scout cruisers. And there is a 4th scout cruiser under construction, will be ready for duty soon. These cruisers, the idea was more or less that you build a cruiser platform. You can see 10,000 tons. This is heavy cruiser displacement. You can see he have only the guns are all anti-air, so it's a anti-aircraft cruiser, but with the main purpose to carry 20 scout airplanes, so catapult airplanes. You can see here, maybe if it's good enough, the graphic. Here is a scout airplane on the catapult, and here's a hangar under, and then he can send up to 20 scout airplanes. It's not for fighters, it's not for bomber, it's not a carrier. The main purpose is normally that this cruiser's joining a carrier fleet or a cruiser battleship fleet, and they're responsible for to send out the scout airplanes to find the prey or make sure that you don't get a surprise strike on yourself. The idea is nice, but the problem is, this is from, I think, more or less from the First World War. Now you have real carriers, and these airplanes are always too slow, and they are not strong enough to fight really other airplanes. They are really scout airplanes. So the whole design and thinking and tactical planning for this kind of cruisers coming to the end, similar to the battleships, they are outdated more or less. You can still use them, but like they are scout cruisers. The problem is that you can see they have no armor protection. They normally cannot fight something. So maybe they can fight with the destroyer, but without protection they will soon go down. And you can see the value is still high. So what you can do with them? So at the beginning of the game, I think they are useful. Oops, no, I closed it. We must better jump to them. I can jump to, here's one. One guy is I think in the port. Let me check. Order for type, and then you can find him. That guy is here in the port. They are not all the same. They're little different designs. The weight changed anyway. So At the beginning of the game, they are normally useful to create more, or to modify your float plane squadrons. So what you have to do is normally you can say, I create a new task force, the air combat task force. There's only this one ship because all other cruisers or scout cruisers or carriers are busy. So you create this task force. You make sure that they are not docked. You can touch them. Then you can see this cruiser, I call it cruiser, can carry up to 24 units. Airplanes. Then you can normally choose any float plane, because if I now say transfer to ship, this you can see the CS, the Cruiser Scout. Okay, only to compare this. No, here I have fighters. They are not a navy. I need something. What is a navy? Oh, they're all not navy. Then they are in Tokyo. These are carrier based. Normally this one can fly to any carrier. Now you have something better. Yeah, the classic Torpedo Bomber. It's the first generation, so the Japanese starts already with the second generation, but you can still use this. I also use them. They're a little slow, I think, but they're still okay. So now you can see how the game automatically tell me where I can send this unit. And the only one I can see is now the Shusho. It's a light carrier, but not the scout carrier. The reason is because this airplane operates on wheel, and a float plane will operate on a swimmer. So, I mean here, this is not possible. With this stuff you cannot land on a carrier, but I think in the game this is still possible. No, it's not possible, because normally I would normally also see if I transfer the ship. Yeah, okay. So the game really separates this. You cannot send these airplanes to a normal carrier because how you want to land, and you cannot send a normal wheel airplane to this kind of scout cruisers because the scout cruiser have no deck. You cannot land on this. But I just sent now this airplane to this cruiser. This one, you can see a little difference in the symbols. You can see this is cruiser symbol, but it's very small. I think you cannot see maybe in the video. So anyway, now this is this cruiser, and now we have here the 20 orbs on it. And I mean, no, the maximum size is 20, but there are only 15 ready. So you can see now 15 from 24. So there is capacity left. What you normally can do at the beginning, firstly you can see they automatically change to independent for free. So now you can normally adjust them again to any headquarter you want for free. Anything. This is still not arrived, so it makes no sense to change it to this headquarter. It's still possible, but it will be have no use because you don't get any bonus. So you can add it to what you really want. Best always have the plane and the HQ in the same hex to get the bonus, or next to it, or at least in range of the HQ. So this is the first stuff. So long you are on the ship, it makes no sense because the ship is a ship. And but you can do all now is always change the size. And because this, I sent this group to a other CS, and that CS had only a maximum size of 20, so this was the reason why it's now a 20. Normally I just send it to this CS, here it's 24. So if you want to have the maximum capacity, you must use always the CS with the biggest number. I think 24 is the biggest. They offer only 20 and 24. But on the other hand, I have this airplane is not more under production. So even if I make it 24 out of this I have no pool units more, so it will not really help me. I still can do this. Sometimes you must touch here 2-3 times. Can be possible, but touch it, and then after some time it will pop up. You change it to 24, then it will resize, but only at the next day. So you must finish the turn that the resize is happening, and the next stuff is there can only be always one. If you want resize, the carrier, the cruiser, whatever they are, you can only have one air wing on it. So far I know, if you want to adjust to the maximum size, you must have everything empty and only keep one unit or load one unit again. So this is a way again to resize a unit, and this you can do with all float planes. Then you have a lot of float planes with big numbers, or much bigger. Normally they're starting with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, something like this, and then you can make most of them of 24, and then you use all your old airplanes, out of date airplanes you normally not use, or you can also check all your cruisers, all your battleships, all your submarines, and you can always say everything what is not a jack, back, come home, send back. You only give them more or less back, then they will plop up, not maybe the same turn, but after 1 or 2, 3 days they normally always are back in Japan or in the pool, and then you can deliver them again, and so you can fill up your training squadrons, and then you can use them normally to train. And of course, in theory, only because these are float planes, they must make a naval search. You can make with them naval attack, you can let sweep, recon, you can train with these units everything. The pilots still get experience with this. Of course, the problem is only these pilots are still normally something like hard-coded for their main airplane they use. So these are float plane pilots. I think it was possible to get them in other airplane types, like a fighter, a bomber, or like this. But I think then there was some handicap. I'm not more so sure. I think then the skill points dropped or like this. There was some reason. But anyway, even a scout airplane you can make a. Of course, I would always first say, let them first naval search, then they can learn submarine hunting. You can also teach them to recon. But if you want, give them also some fighting power, like to get this defense up. Because whatever you train, they have other abilities. If you train airfield attack or port attack, then you normally train more or less bombing. I think airfield attack is the same like if you make a... Now I have naval attack. Naval attack teach you naval bombing. And you get a little defense. And of course the experience. The experience is only experience, means how long the pilot is already flying an airplane. But this means only he know how he have experience, but it's not the skill it's not a skill point, this is only knowledge overall. This is really skill points. I think the game always will first check how good is your skill you want to use in just your mission. And the experience, I think this is maybe the second check. Or I don't know what is the game first doing. Is it first check the experience or then the skills? Anyway, you get the idea. So if you have the time and you don't have pressure, then maybe you can also let them train other stuff. And then you can move this around. And only to show you again the upgrade stuff. Normally I always let them have no upgrade. Upgrade I always do by myself. This is now you can see this is the jack. But you can also touch this air group, and then you can see what is all possible. Because the game is a player defined the upgrade. So it is on me to choose the airplane I want this squadron is operating with. But you still can see, it's not that I can now say give them fighters. So it is more choice. It's not that it's hard coded what is the next airplane, and it is really only from, if it's hard coded like I cannot change this, then I can only say upgrade yes or no. This is hard coded. If the player have not this option, we remember here player defined upgrade is on, so I choose. If this is not on, then I don't have this button. I would only have this button to say yes or no. But I have this option on, so I can tell them I want change to maybe this unit. Then I can say yeah. Then I have 13 in the pool. And normally if it's possible I can touch this. But now it's not possible because wherever I think there are always some other rules. I think I just upgraded this unit, or then you have a cooldown. I think you can only change every 7 days the airplane type, so you cannot change day by day. There's always a cooldown in the background. It can be, or because there can be also other reasons. Maybe this one. No, he's also, because I transfer this unit, so then it's also busy, and so if you transfer something, then your next actions are limited. Normally always transfer, cooldown, something happened, upgrade, cooldown, like this. But you can normally see all float planes are always here. Every float plane I have and or is coming, you can see this is also the future. They are still coming. In the plus, I don't know, you can touch this and then it's show you more or less what is the next or the original. I don't know more. Because I think this is normally what is now the next machine. But if I go here, then it show me more or less this will be the normal upgrade, but now I change it to that upgrade. And even sometimes I exit this and say no, I don't want. Sometimes it is possible to override this. Let's see if it's maybe. Often this is with bombers. So this is now my Oscar. They say, ooh, this is normally the next in line, and I can upgrade now. It's white, so I can touch this, and then it will automatically upgrade. Or I can still say, I want to choose something else. I have now, this is I cannot upgrade to this unit because this is the unit, so I cannot upgrade. I can use the B Oscar if I want this. Then I say, okay, you want upgrade to the B. Then I change it now to B. I can still also do this. It is okay. Or I can, I think, I don't know if this is really working. Let's see. No, this is not, because this is the future. I don't have any stock of this. Okay. Let me find some bomber, because normally with bomber they are special. Yeah, here. A dive bomber. Or at least a one engine light bomber. Normally the next is the B type. This is the first and this is the second generation more or less. And I say, no, I don't want this crappy stuff. Let's give me a Lily B, 1B. Then he say more or less, this is a light bomber, and the Lily is an official medium bomber. And this is more like I change the class of the airplane. It's not only a type change in the same class, it is a new class, because it's not more a light bomber, it's now a medium bomber. So if I want to do this, I have to pay for it, at least a little, 75. 75 is not too much, but before you don't waste your points, I would say. So if you can upgrade, if you I would first, before I pay this points, I would upgrade everything else what is free of charge before I upgrade something and pay. And you can see if I change to this unit, this is okay. Because this unit is also a light bomber. I don't know, I can touch, it's normally some, yeah, I right click, and then you can see this is a one engine light bomber, this is a one here light bomber, and I exit, and here they also call this official light level bomber. I think this is the same. So this is possible, but you can still see first this is our key. Key is always army, and the numbers is more or less something like older. Smaller number is older. So this is the oldest airplane more or less, but it's a numbers. It only counts them up. But you can roughly say, okay, a higher number means a more modern airplane. So they are all here. And these are all light bomber, one engine bombers, and I think the 45 is, I have 45 is something special, because I think this is a fighter bomber. And it's not available, but you can more or less, say, okay, it's under A&D. Do you really want to change it? Then I don't know what really happened. We can try this, because I never did this. And then he asked me for 360 points. This is a lot. Let's try this. What happened? Done. Yeah. Okay, but I cannot upgrade. So I changed the upgrade path. So if I get some airplanes, then I can normally upgrade them now. But let's see, check. Information. Yeah. I had roughly, I think, 1,800 points. Now I have only 1,500 points. But it's okay, because this is still, I sent my file out many days ago already, waiting still for Dojo. So this you can do. Because they're all bombers, you can switch between light bomber and medium bomber. The Japanese don't have heavy bombers. I don't know, maybe with the Allies, maybe you still have 3 different types: light, medium, and heavy bombers. I don't know how the points counting there. Yeah. With the fighter, maybe it's the same with fighter bombers, because they are fighters and they are fighter bombers and they are night fighters. I don't know if I can even see them. Here, K. This is a fighter bomber, night fighter. Let's say we try to fighter bomber. Is it night fighter? Huh? Where is it write it? Night fighter? Someone can see it. No, they only call it fighter, but I think it's a night fighter. Strange. Tony? Also fighter. So far I know it's KO is night fighter. But we can check this later in the tracker again. But normally we can change here everything, because this is all fighters. So they call this all fighters, and I can change to anything I want, and it's free. Here I pay nothing, because they're still all fighters, and then the game say, because I activate this button, or is it? Dojo agrees that we say everyone himself is the same, me and you. We can all change anytime, wherever we want, to any plane. Okay, this is about the upgrade stuff. To explain this a little more, that some stuff, but float plane is a float plane. And there's also, I think, one more stuff with the float planes. Because a float plane is a float plane, and let me check it, I think here. Yeah, and this is a patrol float plane. Even that is not the same. So there's still really limitations. You have a more or less a one engine scout plane. I mean, normally they call it the safe. This is a float plane, but based on 4 engines. And this is also a float plane, but based on one engine. So normally they are both float planes. Still, the upgrade paths, these are all one engine float planes. And here the patrol, yeah, because this is float patrol. And the other one was really. And this is a float plane. Oh, okay, cool. Okay, so the name is not really 100% the same. Float plane and float patrol. Okay. So as you can see here, FP float plane, and here it's a PA for. Normally it must be FP for. But float plane and float patrol will be the same. So now they call it patrol, or patrol. FP. And this is the AP. Okay, a little. The names are not so. Sometimes. Okay, anyway, but the bigger issue is normally, I would say, because this is at least these are all 4 engines. The H key or the H6 and the H8 are 4 engines. These are 1 engine stuff. But at the end they are one group. I mean, this is still seaplane, and this is land base. So I don't know why the game sometimes they make. Let's say the game write it. This is the rules of the game. You must only understand it. This is more or less one group, and the others is the other group, and you cannot mix them. It is like it is. Okay. What I want to say about this, we can maybe, only because, but we can use the tracker later. Later we can use a tracker. So now you understand these units you cannot bring on a carrier or cruiser, so you cannot reform them, so you cannot make them bigger. Like army units and all others, the size of the air wing is fixed, or at least sometimes, but not so often. Here. Sometimes if you have this unit you can also bring to the cruiser, but you cannot change it because there is a change already. The change is I go from 4, what is now, to a 3 in December 44. And this is so this means there's a hard-coded change of the unit size. And any squadron have this cannot resize. Means you can bring it on the carrier, you can bring it on the cruiser, and you can try it, but it will not be successful. You can even give the command. You can give the command resize, but it will never be successful. So if you see this, you can forget it. You must accept it. I think the only option, but I really don't know more, you can say no resize allowed, and then you will more or less block this, because the question is, in this case it's not a big change, but from 4 to 3, the 4 is already very small, and I don't know what use you have with this, but on a small island maybe you can bring this. But why I want to make this group smaller? Is there any benefit to make it smaller? I don't know, maybe, but I don't know it. Okay, this for this again with resize of Air Force stuff and upgrade stuff for Japanese, and I mean it must be similar to the Americans, and also for the cruisers. So and now we come back to the cruisers, because we talked too much maybe about this already. Yep. We come back. Long ago we talked about this cruiser, and the idea how to use the scout cruiser is maybe now already outdated. So you have the option, you can upgrade this unit and make out of this scout cruisers a light carrier. That is nice. You can see in November 42 you can activate this upgrade from a scout cruiser to a light carrier. This upgrade will need 300 days. So nearly 1 year this cruiser will be out of commissioning. Okay. And now something what is very pity, because it's really, you cannot find this information. I best go here. Here's 3 and there's one more coming soon. And there's a difference. Here's an update. Here's an update. And here's a conversion. Just now out of the head I don't know more which is which, but this other ship is coming, the other scout cruiser is the same like this one, so you have 2 with conversion and 2 with upgrade. And one of these 2 types you can upgrade to a aircraft carrier anywhere you want. You need only a shipyard, I think. I don't know even if you need a shipyard. I think here minimum shipyard size is 25. Okay. And here it's 50. And then it's mixed too. Okay. The ships with this minimum shipyard size 50 means this ship and also this ship not only needs a shipyard 50, but it must be Tokyo. And this is totally missing here. That's because this is Admiral's edition. This rule before, so far I know, in the original game, not the Admiral edition, any upgrade was always hard coded to the port where the original upgrade happened. They get rid of this rule because I think it's a stupid rule, because it doesn't matter. A shipyard in Tokyo or a shipyard in Yokohama or in Kur or wherever, you only change the ship. There's nothing special in Tokyo to do this. But for some reason, these 2 ships with a shipyard size of 50 of these scout cruisers, you can only change them, you can only charge in only in Tokyo. You can start this in this kind. This is a upgrade. This upgrade can only start in Tokyo. And the pity thing is now, if you go to Tokyo, the shipyard is not 50, it is a 10. So, next question. You must upgrade this shipyard to a 50 if you want to upgrade this 2 scout cruisers. So you must pay a lot of industry and resources to get this to a 50. To start later this 300 days upgrade to get two light. I mean, I don't know if they are fantastic. I mean, if you finish this, you get an aircraft carrier with a good speed. This is fast. This is like any other good carrier, in 30 airplanes. And I think 27 torpedoes in stock. So okay, you can run from this guy Torpedo Bomber if you want. The endurance is okay. I would say this is okay. It's not terribly bad. You get later also some good air. You can get one upgrade, and but you must keep in mind it is a little time between. But at least you can get radar. You can get some flak on it. So okay, I don't say it's terrible, but the problem is only really 300 days. You send this in end of 42 in the shipyard in Tokyo, and then maybe September 43 you get the ship back. End of 42, mid-end of 43 is the most critical time. But okay, you can ask the question, so what I do with the scout cruiser. I want with this scout cruiser, what benefit the scout cruiser can give me. So then upgrade. Still, if you want to upgrade these two ships, you must upgrade Tokyo. And I mean, the problem is really, it's waste normally, because here I have a shipyard of 90. And here I have a shipyard of 100. And so on and so on and so on. And you have a 90. So I have here 3 super big shipyards, and in Tokyo is only a small shipyard, and then still the game forced me to upgrade to 50. Anyway, it is my duty to inform you and let you know. You want to upgrade these 2 scout cruisers, you must upgrade Tokyo. I still not sure if I really want to do this, or I still have a lot of time. Maybe I will do it. But is it okay? This is a little shitty. Okay, this is about the scout cruisers and what you can do with them. Normally you can better convert them, upgrade them to a carrier, and then you have more carrier. So, and because we talk about ships, then let us do this, because I think we never did this so far. Ship planning for the Japanese. You touch, this is more or less tell you what type, normal production line of all kind of ships, similar I think to the Americans. You can bring them in order, and then you can see what is coming. And you can normally see here everything what is coming. I mean, I think compared to the Americans, I checked what the Americans they get. They get really 3 times or 4 times more. What I get is nothing. You can see a little cargo. This is Sub Hunter. This is the second or the 4th and last scout cruisers coming. Nearly finished. I push them out. Normally I don't must do this, but I want them done. And because I want to resize a lot of the float plane stuff, and maybe you can still use them for scouting, at least up to mid of 42. And I put, sometimes we get some submarines, and we get some, I think this is the first destroyer we get. We can check this one. This is one of the old, this is one of the last old type destroyers, because they have still this 4-inch gun. It's okay destroyer, 10 points, not bad. It is, the firepower is not crazy, but the good stuff is, you have a torpedo tube stuff, and 8 torpedo tubes. So here and here is the torpedo launchers. So this guy can send out 8 torpedoes. It's easy. And you have always one in backup. So this guy transport 16 torpedoes in total. There's our second special landing ship, or amphibious assault ship. This will be my second one. You can see this is better. It's expensive, don't lose it if possible. Here we can also see my next carrier coming. 1 carrier is already done. The carrier I also rush. You can see I rush them. So I think I pay triple the points per day to boost the completion by, I don't know really how much it will shorten the time, but I think more or less you get a bonus from 20 or 25% faster, or maybe even 50% faster, but you pay really a lot more. So if you want to boost something, you must make sure that you really choose the ships you need or want. But we get this carrier, and this is this medium carrier type design, because the Japanese they realize they cannot produce these big carriers like the American. They're producing similar to the British, the same size, not crazy big. You can see 53. The speed is also not so crazy. You can also see the points is not so crazy. So these are not the super big carriers, but they are much cheaper and faster to produce. If you lose them, you will still say, if I have 6 of this or 2 super big carriers, this is the thinking. 6 medium size or 2 super big one. Yeah. So we get one more carrier. And then we can see. And here's an escort carrier. You can see escort carriers are always slower. And they, of course, they carry not so much stuff. They have only half the capacity on the medium carrier. And so on and so on and so on. You can see this, you can see this, you can see this, you can see this. And this is the first of the really first class best Japanese destroyers. This is this 10 centimeter dual purpose gun. This can shoot, this is a flak and surface gun. So this have a good anti-aircraft, and you can upgrade this later because there's still no radar, so this is missing. But this gun can not only fight against surface, also is possible for anti-aircraft. So normally if you get them, try to keep them with your carrier, try to upgrade them. If they get radar and better stuff, then they are really maybe the best anti-aircraft destroyers you can get. And they also can hunt a little submarine. And you can see, alone on this, they already 13 points, so there must be something behind. You can also see they are 3,500 tons. These are one of the biggest destroyers in all of the war. Similar to the German destroyers, I think. Okay, I think there's not much coming. And then we see the time is changing fast. Only to explain, the Yamato, yeah, you all won't maybe see this, the Yamato. You can see here 67,000 tons. You can see the armor belt of 400 millimeter, deck armor 200 millimeter. The point of this ship, okay. The anti-aircraft is not crazy, but okay. But still, I stopped the construction of the Yamato. This will give me 233 points per day, and this I normally use to increase the production of the first carrier. The first carrier is done, and this light carrier and other equipment I normally push out, like the scout cruiser, this normal medium-sized carrier, and the escort carrier, and other stuff. The reason is more or less normally more simple. Let's go back to where's the battleship? Yeah, here. This is the Sistership of the Yamato. This is the same type, everything is exactly the same. There's no difference. And this ship is under normal construction and will be finished at the 1st of December on 42. And because I like to operate them in a pair, I more or less halted the construction of the Yamato, because now the delivery time of the Yamato is official 19th June. So I more or less 4 or 5 months I will hold the construction, that this date will come close to the date of the second battleship, and then I will go to normal construction, and then they will be more or less in 1 week both finished. Then I can match them up, and then I have a super heavy battleship fleet. I let them operate together, and then I will see how Dojo will fight these two guys. In reality, it was a super boring stuff, because the Japanese finished the super battleships, then there was Pearl Harbor, then they finished the training of these two battleships, there was Midway more or less, and these battleships, then they realized, oh shit, everything can be sunken by carrier-based fighter bombers, torpedo bombers. Then they were scared to lose these ships, because, I mean, if you use this is like a battleship and like Bismarck and Tirpitz. If you use this kind of ships, the morale of your home front will suffer. So the Japanese, they say, keep them, keep them, keep them. And then in the moment it was of course far too late. They say, okay, let's go to the Philippines, and then exactly happened what happened. The first battleship, 300 airplanes attack, and battleship is done. Later, Yamato also more or less 400 airplanes attack and destroyed. Even a Yamato battleship cannot fight 300 airplanes. So I can go, this is now up to end of 42, you can see what is coming. And we get more of this type of destroyers. And normally I will try to keep them, upgrade, they get soon some upgrades, and then their anti-air is much better, and then normally I will use this destroyers always to support my carriers. Okay. And yeah, and the point is normally, no need to show you this, you can touch this and then you can change the order. Stop production, have a normal production, have an increased production of this ship. So simple. But you have to pay these points. And here you can see the points again. Navy shipyard. You can see our pool points and our daily points. You can see, and I showed this last time, that I run out of pool points very quickly because I push too much. Maybe let's say this, maybe you can see this here. This is increased production, increased production, increased production. And there was one more carrier before, also increased production, and more or less I balance this. Only these ships are still not under they are not they never start. So I think if you I cannot touch this because they never start production, so they are stopped. Normally they must be gray. I don't know. Normally they are gray because they are or maybe these are other units. Here is gray. So if it's gray, the construction never starts. So you can change anything what you want here, or even you can change this, but it has no impact. Because if the ship never starts any construction, you can stop it or you don't stop it because there's no facility really working with this tool. And I think here, maybe you can produce them, but the problem is here, I can show you. Normally the main issue is that they're coming so late. So I normally keep them stopped because it's too late for me. It is simply too late. I can produce them, but I can maybe try to rush them. But even if I rush them, I don't know how much really time I can get out of them. Maybe then they are ready at the beginning of 45. I don't know if this is then this is hard. If you maybe think about that, you have an even battle, you will not lose quickly, you will not win quickly, then maybe you can keep them under production. But 45 is always for me too far away. So, and only to show you roughly what is coming. So, and this is a fixed list. You have these ships and this is all done. There will not come any more ships. You only can tell them stop, make normal construction, or increase the production. And this is all what you can do with the Japanese. This is a normal carrier and light carrier. This is an escort carrier. They are normally always slower. And this is a super shitty escort carrier. So even, 12, 18. Oh shit. What is this? Whoever think about this kind of stuff. Okay, anyway, they're only escort carrier. Battleships, these are our two battleships, they are under construction. So maybe. And I also halted because I can activate like this. Then you can see this. Build rate. 2 ships are halted. Yamato and Shinano. No. Shinano is normally the 3rd Yamato battleship. The game not allow you to finish the construction like a battleship because the choice to change this battleship to a carrier comes normally first, I think, around midway or like this. Anyway, you can only finish this battleship in a carrier design because this is a super heavy armor stuff for a carrier. You can see, I mean, of course they reduce the armor because it makes not too much, but 45,000 tons for a carrier is a lot. There is no carrier in this game come even close to this. But the capacity of this carrier is a joke. In reality, the point is, in reality, the Shinano was never a real frontline carrier. It was a service carrier. The point was, this carrier operated with other carriers, and any airplane gets damaged will fly to the Shinano, and this is a repair facility for airplanes. Here, you have normally more or less repair equipment. You can fix any airplane very fast, replace them, and then send them back to the other frontline carrier. Without that, the frontline carrier must take the burden to repair the stuff. They can focus for fighting, and this carrier focus for repair and maintenance. This was the original purpose. But in this game you don't have this mechanic. So in this game you have this super heavy carrier with the capacity of a medium carrier. So it makes no sense, more or less. And this is the reason why these are the 2 ships I would say hold them both. The Shinano you never normally must finish. It's also too late normally. And the Yamato makes more sense to get the arriving date close together. Okay. Battleships, carriers, cruisers. You can see this ship is not started the construction because there's other cruiser so far under construction. And first, if this is finished, they start, I think, the next. And you can also see that the Japanese, they produce nearly nothing. No cruisers are coming. These are light cruisers. And yeah, that is some are okay, but compared to the American, this is a joke. No heavy cruiser, a handful light cruisers. The best is that you normally, not all of them, but some, and in total there are 6 light cruisers the Japanese can modify and change to light cruiser anti-aircraft. I checked this again. There are 6 light cruisers you can change. The change need 180 days, so half year they're offline. But after that you have a okay, good anti-aircraft cruiser, normally always to protect battleships, protect your carriers. This is, I think, the best you can do with a light carrier, because light carriers, I think we saw this with Dojo. 2 torpedoes is normally the end of a light carrier. Yeah, and the Japanese anti-aircraft is not so strong. If the Americans are coming, they will normally hit you if they have 2 great numbers. Yeah, this is all the destroyers are coming. You can see most of them are not really started. You can see most are gray, some are yellow, it means they start already, but there are still a lot missing. This is all what is coming. But I think all you can see here have all the 10 centimeter. Not all, but some are still, I think, some, but most, more later I think you get more and more of this better edition destroyers. They're all 13. I don't know if there's anything better than a 13. Sometimes you get this support the destroyer. This is a shitty destroyer. Okay. I mean, this is the end of the year, so you can, everything was 45, you can forget. So maybe like up to this position you can say, oh, okay. You can also see normally, I think, must be something with a number. If the number is small, this means you need less points to produce the ship under normal construction. So you can see 6 point value ship needs 6. This ship needs 10 value. So you can also see this. If there's a 10, it's a normal one. If it's a 13, it's a better one. Easy to see like this. Destroyer escort, the Japanese never built this, but you can convert some destroyer to this. It means they have more anti-aircraft, more anti-sub, but less torpedoes, less surface guns, and so on and so on and so on and so on and so on. You can check this all by yourself if you want, because AOs, you can see the Japanese don't really produce a lot of AOs. They're producing a lot of tankers, and you can always, many of the tankers you can change. These are the submarines. And there's also some code behind these numbers. Lower, less, RO is most of the time short range. And if the submarine have a RO, it's this short, you can see this, endurance is only 3,500. If you have an I with 2 figures, it is around 14,000. If it's with 3 figures, it's a little medium size. So you can say these are the long range torpedoes, submarines. This is medium sized torpedo submarines, and this is short range, more or less defense submarines. The main purpose is to be nearby your ports and defend. This go out far away. This can go medium size away. Then there is some later in the game, this SST boats you can forget, because they are submarine transport. Yeah, forget this. I mean, I in the game okay, forget it. So there's also this difference between, this is a row with 2 figures and a row with 3 figures. You can always see 3 figures always shorter than 2 figures, but normally the row is always a little cheaper. And there's one more kind, but this comes very late. Oh no, this is a shit book. It's something with a 4. Here, the 400 class. You can see always the numbers, and you can see they are more expensive. This is 11 with 21,000, and the 400 have 31,000, and this can carry 3 airplanes. These are the really super long distance scouting with a lot of torpedoes, long range torpedoes. I think they call this official, normally they are cruiser submarine. But I think they only call them submarines. But normally these are cruiser submarines. They are super heavy. You can always see they have 3,500. This is like the heavy destroyers. For a submarine, this is a lot. This is already a big submarine with 2,500 tonnage. And if we go to the beginning, 2,000. The row is only 500, so you can get a feeling for this. The row with a double figure, also 500, and with a row with a double figure. This triple here. This is a little bigger, but 1,000 tons. Okay, now we talk so much about the Navy stuff. I think we can nearly finish, but I can check. Let me give a look. We have 1 hour, so we can a little talk about airplanes again. So we can again, and I explain maybe again production. maybe I can show this roughly. I don't know if I ever showed this before, but maybe. This is a historical or the trend of my H35 engine. I start with 166, it's the first pool, turn 1 with 166. And then you can see at the beginning I lose because the engine production at the beginning is just enough to feed the airplane production, and every airplane require engines, so it was not possible. I really go down. But then there was a point that I say, okay, I increase the production of engine more and more and more and more, and so I come now up. I can produce now between 5 and 10 engines per turn in surplus. So sooner or later I will reach the 500, and then I get the R&D bonus. You also can see, if you touch this, where is the production. In Tokyo, 2 factories give you 2, and so I've in total 5 factories producing this engine type, and so you can always check this. You can also see here the build rate per day and the build rate per month. You can see that these engines are all offline. I don't produce them more, and this is only very they are still under production because I still need some H32 engines, but I don't focus for this so much. And and for airframes it's similar. You can touch this with a 0, then you can see the history, and then you can see how's my pool. At the beginning was 26, then I always change some stuff, and now I have a little more. I keep around, I think more than 100 I don't need. If you have an airplane or a type of airplane, I think if you have 100 in pool, it's enough. Then I will better maybe stop the production or change the production to A&D or the next generation, or to A&D, or I temporarily stop the production to get more engines. But up to the situation. Always keep this A&D stuff in mind. Yeah. Okay. This is the production stuff, but there is not really much more, I think, because if you see the engine, then you can only see here what engine types they are, and there's some information here, but I normally don't use this. It's only something like a recommended information, build information, but it's a little strange. I don't know. This is for production aircraft again. So yeah, and then we can normally now. Last time we talk about the bombers. Now we can maybe we had also the patrol. I think we had the Navy fighters. We checked about the float planes. There was not much. And we can check the patrol maybe. But this is very easy because the Navy have only this 4, and normally you can say very simple. This is, you start with this. There's one upgrade to the 5th generation. It's coming online in mid of 42. It is okay. What's changed? It gets a little faster. And looks like this is more or less, and this gets radar support. So this one cannot carry radar. This can carry radar, but we know the radar is first online in June 44. This is fixed. So, and the rest is more or less, I think, very similar. You can see the armament is the same. Both have no armor. The defense fire is the same. It's really only the radar and the tiny, from 211 to 240. It's faster, yeah. It's okay. The only problem is normally this. More or less at the same time this can go online and you can produce this, you have already the totally next type of airplane. The H8. And the H8 outclass the H6 completely. The speed is much faster. It have armor. It have much more defense power. It can carry, I think this is the same. This guy can carry 2 torpedoes, and this guy I think for sure also. So the torpedo load is the same. This is the H-33 engine, you must only make sure, and this is the H-32 engine. So you need engines if this guy is coming online, because this guy have 4 engines. So you produce one of this guy, you need 4 engine. So keep in mind. But anyway, if you have the H8K1, you can stop the production of this airplane. It is not bad, but you 4 engine here or 4 engines there, this is in the game the same. You pay the same heavy industry points. The service ranking is both 4. They're both the same. This guy is faster, have armor, better guns, and keep in mind, this guy have a normal range of 22 and extended of 28. This guy have a change from 24 to 30, so even more, he can travel more longer distance. So yeah, make no sense more to produce this guy. You produce this guy at the beginning because you start with this, you have 6 months, and after 6 months I would say forget this upgrade, go directly. This is the best patrol airplane in the whole war. No one can get anything better. I mean, yeah, this one is good if you get the upgrade, and the upgrade is also, I mean, it's a half year later, maybe, yeah, roughly half year later. Then you can see here, the distance is the same, but the gun value is crazy. You go from a 16 to a 26. These are 20mm guns. No armor is strong enough to withstand this kind of bullet. So, and this guy can also transport radar. And it's still from mid or beginning of 43, so before you get radar in June 44, there's still plenty of time. So this is a very easy solution. You produce this in small quantity, you try to get this one in bigger quantity, because I think this is a really good guy. You can try to produce them, but keep in mind this is a 4 engine. That is a very expensive airplane. You will consume a lot of heavy industry for this. And if it's possible, of course, upgrade it, because you get more speed, you get more punch, gun value, you get radar support. Yeah, do it. So that is easy. I think this is really easy. The Torpedo Bomber, maybe we can shortly talk about. This is a pre-war, this is training. You get you have, I think, 50-60 of these guys. Use them for training. This is all we must do. This is the next generation, but also, you don't have, I think, 30 of this. Also, only training. Make no sense, you don't produce this. This is the first generation. Use what you have, you don't must produce it, because you have already this guy. You already produce this Torpedo Bomber. At least I think you're just starting the ramp up of this production. So you don't need to produce more the B5N1, because you have already this guy. I mean, he's faster. He's not really so much better, but at least you can produce it. I think the biggest he have a little higher hit points, but I think he's yeah. I mean, the big you get them radar, but the problem is it is 44. Both of them go online first 44. So yeah, you can this guy. You need this guy to get the radar, but in 44, if you have still this airplane, then you did something wrong. Because you get these guys. This guy maybe not, because this is the H-44 engine. The H-44 is a super special engine. I would say skip this engine. Forget it. Better go with the old. This is also the H-35. And this is an engine you normally don't produce more. So one more reason why you want to produce this, because it's much easier to produce this kind of engine. And this is H32, what we just saw before with the H8 and H6 Patrol. This is still an engine you can produce. And that guy, you can compare it. It is really much faster. 235 to 300. Whoa. In speed is all. Yeah, no armor. No radar. But a lot of speed. So I would say go in, throw your torpedo in the water and run away, and the speed is the most important for Torpedo Bomber. And even you can get upgrade for this guy. It's maybe a little late, but you keep in mind you can get it up to 6 months earlier, so yeah. Then you can get this guy with radar, so means this guy can operate at night time. It's okay. It's okay. They are better. They're not crazy better, but they are better. And this is only a float plane torpedo, but I don't know if this really works. I don't know. They are fast, yeah, but I don't know. It's maybe an option. You can do this. That you say you put your float planes away, but the problem is a float plane needs still torpedo supply. A cruiser cannot support you with torpedoes, so you cannot put this on a cruiser and say, okay, now I use a cruiser with a torpedo bomber to attack. It will not work. So you still can use this normally only from a land base, and then I mean, I don't know. I don't understand this completely because it's floated, and this is a carrier capable. So this is the best torpedo bomber you can get. It's not crazy well. The problem is something else, because you have this dive bombers. So this is dive bombers. The Japanese starts are a little weak. This is similar what we had before with the torpedo bomber. This is now the dive bomber. This is 9030 machine, so it's out of date already, not more in production. This is the guy who starts the war, famous well, the wall, or well. And then you get an upgrade. You can see here, there's one upgrade. This is this guy, and you can see there's some speed bonus. Takes the speed bonus, is okay. But of course no armor, no defense fire, because this is a machine gun. And the Americans or allies, they have all armor. So a machine gun cannot really hurt anything would have armor. It's useless. And the other big issue with this plane is, but this is both the same. The 250 gram bomb is normally only enough to penetrate anything up to a light carrier. The light cruiser you can still hurt, but no heavy cruiser, no battleship. Even a carrier gets hurt, but you must hit many times. The power of this bomb is just too limited. And battleship really, they will never reach the armor. So anyway, this is what you can get up to mid of 42. Then you get this guy, forget this because it's 45, forget it. And then you get this guy. You would try to rush for this guy, because it's a complete new production line. This is the end of the production. I mean, you can get this guy, but the problem is it's too far away. The gap between this is mid of 42, and the Mario is end of 45. The gap is too big to make any use of this production chain. So you better say end of production, start a new production run. You can get this, if you're lucky, maybe it's beginning of 43. And first of all, this is much faster. You can see already speed from 267 to 340. So a boost in speed, way super good. Still no armor, yeah, okay. More complicated to manage, yeah, okay. Still no defense fire, yeah, it's a dive bomber. I mean, keep it simple, it's a dive bomber. Only be fast, and most important is, now you have a 500 kilo bomb. This is the first bomb you can really say, heavy cruiser, no problem, you can hurt. A battleship, 50-50 chance to get damage on it. But at least you have the possibility to hurt a battleship. And of course, you need less of these bombs to destroy to sink a destroyer, a light cruiser, or whatever. And you get an upgrade, of course, the next generation. 1 year later, roughly. You can see a little faster, and the rest is not really changing. It's okay. It's only a little faster. And then you have that guy. The problem is they are very close to each other, only 4 months. So I would say here is a change of the engine. So keep this in mind. It's maybe keep it in mind. This is a chain of upgrade. So maybe you can skip this guy. I should explain how you can skip this. You can normally try to get this one, upgrade it to this, and then you upgrade this, but you not start the real R&D. You just immediately go to the next, because you still can go to the 4th generation or edition. It's still the same production line. And then you get this 800 kilo bomb. And this can really penetrate anything. A battleship armor cannot withstand this power. Problem is only it's the beginning of 45. So this is a question. And the other issue is, the other really big issue is now this. The grace. Because the Japanese also in reality, they come to the conclusion that torpedo bomber are more or less useless. In mid or end of 43, they realized it's not more possible to come to a ship close enough with old designs, with the torpedo bomber, so they need something completely new. What is new? Something what is fast. And then they more or less produce this guy. And because they say, okay, we cannot only throw torpedoes, let's build something, a multi-role dive torpedo bomber. And this is a multi-role torpedo dive bomber. He can do both. That guy can transport a torpedo, but it's still a dive bomber. If you don't give him torpedoes, he will transport the 800 kilo bomb. That guy can start from a carrier. He is fast like the others with 350. He uses this expensive engine, so he have the service range is higher too, okay. But he also have still at least something, have a heavy machine gun, so at least there is something he can turret rear. So he have some guy here in the back and say, if there's someone coming and is fast enough to catch me, of course any American fighter is normally faster, but not much faster, he can strike. If he lucky, he hurt, he don't must destroy, but he still hurts the enemy fighter and lets him bleed a little. Oh, no armor, because I think this makes no sense. Better is the speed than the armor. I mean, if you have your armor, maybe you will lose the speed to 320. There's no option for this, so the point is only this. If you want, you have more or less two options. You can stick with the old torpedo bomber and produce the Judy. Then you've still two different type of airplanes, a dive bomber and a torpedo bomber. Or you can say I give up the torpedo bomber stuff and only produce this Judy and make everything only dive bomber. It's still okay. The range is 6 is okay. Or you try this, because this guy also have a long range, 10. This is a lot, and he can go 13 without a torpedo. But then I think he carries still a 500 kilo bomb, or maybe even 800. But something what is still okay. So he has the range, he has the speed, he can carry torpedoes. Normally, if you can get this airplane early enough in the numbers, you can normally empty all your carriers and say only fighters. And what I told you, if possible, try to get, no, that's this guy. Try to get the SAM, because you see your 400 speed. This is the best fighter you can get. And this is the best multi-rule attack plane you can get for carriers. This is the best what is possible for the Japanese. If you can get it early enough, if you can get the numbers. The only thing is lacking is a radar support. So they are not good for night attack. But I'm never really a fan of night attack. Because the Japanese radar is never really so good like the Americans. Okay. So anyway, so now you have it. You have normally, you know, army bomber, you need float plane, patrol plane, dive bombers, torpedo bombers, maybe fighters, army fighters we must explain again. Maybe there's still some other stuff I can explain, like night fighters, transport, army fighters, all the stuff we can explain and discuss next time. So I stop this here now. I wish you the best, and hope Dojo can give me, or the Dojo will upload his battle summary for the next day. Thank you, take care, bye bye.